Good afternoon, class. Welcome back to your videos, and it's nice to be talking to you through a video now. And this is the beginning of chapter 2, 2.1, the real number line. So here are some key terms that I would make sure that we have down in our notes, in our notebook. So graphing real numbers. Key terms. So real numbers, the set of numbers consisting of positive numbers, the negative numbers, and zero. So that's the definition of real numbers. And they can be pictured as points on a horizontal line called a real number line. You guys are familiar with the number line here. So the origin is the point labeled 0. So right here is the origin. Okay, the positive numbers points to the right of 0. So from here on are all positive numbers, and negative numbers points to the left of 0. And then 0 is neither positive or negative. So very important information. This number line is very, very important. It could help you when you're subtracting two negative numbers, adding a negative and a positive number. Just with a lot of the math questions that you'll be solving within this chapter and on in the book, you can use the real number line and it'll help you. So graph 1/2 and negative 2.3 on the number line. So first of all, we got to graph and draw this number line. So you always put 0 in there. And again, similar to when you guys draw your graphs in the last section that we studied in chapter 1, you know, the intervals are very important. The in-between points. If you can use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and go up and increase by 1 or decrease by 1 on the left side of the number line, very helpful. But again, if you want to use larger intervals, you can, but it's a little neater if you can stick to 1, 2, and 3. So graph the numbers 1/2 and negative 2.3 on the number line. So think about where 1/2 is. So we know it's somewhere in between 0 and 1. And what I do is I always put a point there, or a little dash like I did right there, and I always make sure that I write that over top of it. So then negative 2.3. So I know it's not halfway in between negative 3 and negative 2, but it's somewhat near negative 2 and almost halfway. So I would say right about there. And remember, these don't have to be exact. I didn't write that negative down very well. So just a good estimate would be just fine. So that's where those numbers fall on the number line. So you can think about where those numbers would be, because the next question is very important. We're going to write the following numbers in increasing order. So we know starting on the left, we're going to have the number that is the least, and then going in increasing order. So when we think about writing something in increasing order, I think about a number line. I think about, before I write them in increasing order, let's put them on a number line just to make sure that I have it correct. So negative 2 right here. And again, I write on top. 4. Make sure I put on top. 0. 1.5. 1/2 and negative 3/2. Now it's probably easiest to turn this into a mixed number, so negative 1 and 1/2. So there we go. These are the numbers in increasing order now. So when I rewrite it, I know that it needs to be written like this. And those are my numbers in increasing order. But it's very important you put them on a number line so you can see it. You can see where they fall. Because you're going to be working with numbers that are a little bit tougher than the ones that I gave you here to just to give you an example. So it's very important that you put them on the number line and then you can see. And you may have to put down the decimal part of this as well, just so that you can see it. Okay? So you get a better idea of where that falls on that number line. So switching gears a little bit, absolute values. The absolute value of a real number is the distance between the origin and the point representing the real number. No idea why that capitalized E is there. I apologize for that. The absolute value of a number is never negative. Now, the main thing, okay, it's never negative because we're talking about distance. We never talk about distance being negative. So, it's very important that you understand that the absolute value of a number is never negative, and it talks about the distance from that point to the origin. So, for example, on our number line, we have our 0, which is the origin, and let's say we're talking about 3. So they ask me, what is the absolute value? Now these lines, straight lines, tell me that that is the absolute value. So the absolute value of 3, they're asking me from this point, what is the distance between the origin and that number? So the absolute value of 3 is 3. Remember, it can never be negative. So even if it asks me the absolute value, sorry, let me rewrite that. It's terrible. Of -3. The absolute value of -3. So here's -3. But it's asking us the distance from -3 to the origin. It's 3 moves away. Okay? And then the absolute value of 0 is always 0. Remember, 0 is never negative or positive. So you'll see absolute value through your math career, and you got to make sure that the absolute value of a number is never negative, and it talks about the distance from the origin to that point on the number line. So let's have some homework questions that we can focus on tomorrow in class together. So what is the absolute value of 2.3? Absolute value of 2.3. Number 2. Let's put these numbers in increasing order. -1.5, 1/3, -3, -2.5, 0, and -1. Put those in increasing order. And let's do the same thing for this. Increasing order. 1.6, 0.6, 1.06, 1.66, and 0.7. Increasing order. Okay, so tell me the absolute value of 2.3, and then tell me on number 2 and 3 the increasing order from left to right, and I want it to be drawn on a number line before you reorder it using commas. Okay, label them on a number line. Alright, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me. It's glad to be talking to you again through a computer, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow in class. So I hope you have a wonderful night. I'll see you tomorrow.